Since it's all about articulated facts, figures, and authentic news report about developmental situations across federal ministries, agencies, and parastatals, let's welcome you to Ministry News. The Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Ali Ibrahim Pantami, has reaffirmed the federal government's determination to reverse the trend of importation of all types of telecommunications products, especially where production in Nigeria is possible. Professor Pantami, who spoke at the first Indigenous Telecom Content Expo at the Landmark Center in Lagos, emphasized that the government has put efforts together towards the protection of the telecom industry, which contributes impressively to the GDP by insisting on the drastic reduction in the reliance on foreign products. It consequently warned against importation of such products like SIM cards that can be produced in Nigeria.
The percentage of importation to the country was worrisome. And in order to support our economy and consolidate the gains of the sector, there was a necessity of promoting our indigenous technology so that we will be able to significantly reduce the percentage of our importation.
The federal government has disclosed that the mega transformers it ordered under the Presidential Power Initiative (PPI) have successfully undergone a factory acceptance test. A statement from the Federal Ministry of Power stated that the first batch of the shipments, which are expected to be made from the Siemens Transformers factory in Trento, Italy, will start arriving in Nigeria from September this year. The Managing Director of the Federal Government of Nigeria Power Company FGN Power, Mr. Kenny Anuwe, who led a delegation that included engineers from the Transmission Company of Nigeria TCN, witnessed the factory acceptance test conducted on Thursday in Europe. In a statement signed by the Special Advisor to the Minister of Power, Abubakar Aliyu, on media, Mr. Issa Sanusi noted that the acceptance test has paved the way for Siemens Energy to start delivering the transformers to Nigeria. The federal government is to maintain zero tolerance to troops' misconduct while embarking on peacekeeping operations under the United Nations Strategic Partnership. Minister of Defense Major General Bashiru Salihi Magashi, who was represented by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Defense Dr. Ibrahim Abubakar Kana, MNI, made the declaration during a meeting with the United Nations Peacekeeping Strategic Partnership Delegation led by the Director Major General Jai Menon, retired, in Ship House, Gariki, Abuja, remarked that international partakers in peacekeeping operations have severally attended to the discipline and good conduct of Nigerian troops during such operations. General Magashi, however, noted that the excellent performances of Nigerian contingents in peacekeeping operations around the globe are not without challenges on conducts leading to infractions. General Magashi pointed out further that the armed forces are doing deliberate sensitization of soldiers on the need to observe and respect the dignity of people in whatever circumstances they find themselves. In another development, the Minister of Defense, retired Major General Bashiru Magashi, has disclosed at a meeting with the leadership of all cells of veteran associations held at the Federal Ministry of Defense headquarters in Abuja that President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the payment of Security Debarment Allowance (SDA) to the deserving retired military officers and personnel. He explained further that the money is to be paid to those earlier excluded veterans who retired earlier than 9th of November 2017. The Defense Minister, however, told the elated members of the veteran community that the outstanding SDA allowance will be paid over a period of 3 to 5 years, since government cannot afford to pay in a tranche. The Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, has said that state governments could apply on behalf of their residents and indigents for the houses currently being subscribed to from the National Housing Program across 34 states of the country. Fashola made it known while speaking at the executive session of the 11th meeting at the National Council on Lands, Housing and Urban Development, which took place in Sokoto. The minister at the 5-day event with the theme Housing Our People by All of Government and All Our People explained that the state governments could apply to fund the acquisition of parts of the NHP constructed in their states should they desire to do so, adding that after the acquisition, the state governments could then allocate to interested residents and indigents. The Federal Executive Council (FEC) has approved the development of the Badagry Deep Sea Port on a build, own, operate, transfer, public-private partnership (PPP) arrangement. The Minister of Transportation, Muazu Jaji Sambo, disclosed this during an interview with journalists at the end of the FEC meeting. He explained that the private sector would inject money for the development of the port, and at the end of the concessionary period, the port will revert to the federal government through the Nigerian Ports Authority (NPA), adding that the government was expecting to generate revenue of $53.6 billion over the 45 years concession period.
Private sector will inject money for the development of the port, and at the end of the concessionary period, the port reverts to the federal government of Nigeria through the Nigerian Ports Authority. The project cost, as contained and approved in Council based on the final business case as approved by the ICRC, in line with extant laws, stood at $2.59 billion. It is to be developed in 4 phases with milestones, and the concessionary period is 45 years.
The federal government, through the Ministry of Aviation, has invited interested firms and a consortium of firms to participate in the qualification process for the selection of partners through a bidding process for the development of cargo agro-allied terminals across the country. The invitation, which was made known in a statement, is as a result of having identified the development of the cargo agro-allied terminal as one of the priority projects for the renaissance of the aviation sector. The terminal's locations are strategically selected across the country, including Kebbi, Plateau, Katsina, Cross River, Edo, Ondo, and Adamawa State. According to the ministry's statement, the overall objective of the selection process will be the successful procurement of concessionaires technically and financially capable to design, build, finance, operate, maintain, and transfer the terminals within the concession period for the optimal benefit of the country. The Minister of Interior, Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola, has solicited for understanding and cooperation of Nigerians in the current war against insecurity by the federal government. Aregbesola made the plea on Tuesday while receiving a delegation of the executive members of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations (NIPR) in his office in Abuja, led by its president, Malam Sirajo Mukhtar. The minister expressed the readiness of his ministry to partner and collaborate with the NIPR in sensitizing the public and channeling their energies towards national development in the areas of training of officers and men of the ministry and its agencies on effective communication, public relations, and prompt reportage of the ministry's activities to the general public to sustain its positive image. On his part, the NIPR president commended the minister and his team for their gallant efforts at addressing the current security threats in the country. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, has revealed that voluntary conciliation was adopted to ensure a quick resolution of the ongoing strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU. Dr. Ngige disclosed this Tuesday at a 3-day capacity building workshop on international labor standards and dispute resolution in Abuja, organized by the Industrial Arbitration Panel in collaboration with the International Labour Organization, ILO. He, however, recalled that ASU had embarked on strike on February 14 and voluntary conciliation started on March 1. Meanwhile, media report has it that ASU on Monday extended the strike by 8 weeks, saying it took the decision because the federal government failed to address the issues it raised in a 2020 federal government ASU agreement. The Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Presidential Amnesty Program, and the Niger Delta Development Commission have resolved to tackle the issue of pipeline vandalism and illegal refining activities in the Niger Delta. The minister, who spoke during a visit by the interim administrator of PAP, Colonel Miland Dikio, and PAP officials to his office, all agreed to work in tandem to develop common practical template to tackle the problems in the region, especially oil theft related activities. He further stated that such rescue plan was required because oil theft and pipeline vandalism were undermining the peace and security of the nation. The federal government has pledged that the new established University of Transportation, Daura in Katsina State, will commence academic activities in September 2022. The Minister of Transportation, Mr. Muazu Sambo, disclosed this during an inspection visit to the university on Thursday in Daura. The minister, while inspecting the university project, added that the work, which started a year ago, is now at 60% completion level. In the same vein, the permanent secretary in the ministry, Dr. Magdalene Ajani, said the university, when completed, will be run by the Chinese government for 2 years. And finally, on ministry news, the Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Hanere, has hinted that about 80,000 child deaths are reported to be prevented annually when optimal breastfeeding is practiced. The Hanere gave the hint at the ceremony to flag off the week-long celebration of the 2022 World Breastfeeding Week. For over 2 decades, Nigeria has joined the rest of the world to commemorate the World Breastfeeding Week, which is a week-long event for awareness creation and to generate support to improve breastfeeding practices for good health and well-being outcomes on infants, young children, and mothers. Represented by the Minister of State for Health, Joseph Ekumakama, Dr. Hanere stated that the Federal Ministry of Health remains committed to eradicating malnutrition from the country and improving breastfeeding rate, which is a cost-effective means towards achieving this. The theme for this year's celebration is Step Up for Breastfeeding, Educate and Support.